live. ¿Se escucha? Hey guys. Se escucha muy bien. No. Okay, now you can have your attention. Hi everyone. We are going to start with that. Low. What is your microphone? The one you have in your hand. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about Magento2 architecture, and I'm going to try to explain all of the decisions or the designs of the architecture of Magento2, and also I'm going to try to compare part of the things with the first version of Magento. Magento2 is a bigger step on the architecture, what they've done so far. The first version of Magento was a very good architecture comparing with other PHP frameworks, but in this case they are getting a much better quality in design patterns, the way that is being developed. So the first thing I'm going to do is more introduction of what is Magento. And Magento is an open source e-commerce platform written in PHP. It was developed by Variant in California in 2015, comparing to the 30 most popular e-commerce platform in the market. Magento has the 29.8% of the market. The initial release was 8 years ago, and the Magento 2.0 version, the one we are going to talk today, was released last year on November. Okay. eBay acquired this company, purchased this company, and it was part of the X-commerce initiative. So they want to have control of all of the e-commerce part. And on Magento, we know that every year, $50 billion is being transactions through the Magento platforms. I want to highlight that Magento is an open source platform. And I want to do that because comparing like platforms that they are like having copyright, because the code is not open to the public, the main difference is that you are limited access or income from other developers, right? So remember how critical is Windows regarding security, right? And why exactly is that happening is because, well, when you have a source that you are not sharing with the community, well, you are not getting any help. So whatever you have, 50 developers or 200, like Magento, whatever developers you have in your company, that's pretty much what you can do, right? Open source, like Linux, for example, the thing of the source is already, the people can contribute to that specific source code, is helping you to two things. One thing is to refine your product, right? When you put something in the public and people are going to be able to give you feedback, but not only feedback, it's going to give you to contribute, because probably in India, the way that you manage the taxes are not exactly in the same way that you manage the taxes in the US. So people in India is going to be able to contribute and afford something and give you something from the product, correct? And the second one, which is more important, is regarding security. So why Linux is so secure compared to other copyright operating systems like Windows, right? It is because obviously there are some security issues, but the community is helping every day to find those bugs and fix them. So as long as you have a product like, for example, Magento, 8 years in the market, and is open source, obviously they keep finding issues in the process. But then at this point, we can say that it's in a good, stable, it's a mature product that we can use for a production environment. Okay, and so let's talk about technology. And the first thing when we talk about Magento is PHP. And everyone is like, oh, this PHP, and it's not that cool. What is really cool right now is Ruby, or what is really cool right now is other technologies, languages. And that's fine, I understand that. I always say that to know what a specific language does not mean that you are a good developer. So, you know, I always use the same example, like you can say that you are a Java developer, but that doesn't mean that you are creating a good software, right? And the other way around, if you have a PHP developer, that does not mean that the guy is not creating quality software, just because junior PHP developers are coming for a, I don't know, for a front-end background, right? So one of the things that they included on Magento 2, Magento 1 wasn't having any kind of test during the code. So at the end, they will start adding some specific tests because the code was growing so fast and it was hard to get an understanding of what works and what doesn't, right? So at this point in Magento, they included a whole framework so you can do all kinds of tests that you can imagine. So you have the regular unit testing, an integration test, but you also have static tests, legacy tests, and performance tests. Performance tests is being made by JDD. All of that is being all of the core of Magento. If you check, we're going to check that in the model. You can identify how refined is the code in the way that you can know exactly like legacy code. You can know if your extension is going to work or not in the next version of the software. So you create an extension, you sell it into the market, and then the new version of Magento releases. So you can know straight away of your clients if that extension is going to be able to use on that one. So we have a ORM, obviously, so there is no way to do queries to the database and stuff. So what we have is an object relational mapping framework, but also on top of that, they created they are using the entity attribute value model. Who knows about that model on databases? Entity attribute value. We're going to talk about that because it's a great concept, and I'm going to explain why they require that. Okay? Dependency injection. Who knows dependency injection? All of you, right? Good. Solar search engine. So Magento has built-in Solar Apache engine, and it works for all regarding search. So imagine you're trying to do a search on a relational database, it has to go row by row to find a specific problem. But with Solar Engine built into the system, it helps us to index files like Word documents, PDF documents, and because it's a NoSQL engine, it's going to help us to improve the performance regarding search. Okay? Then we have database cluster support. We have extension marketplace, so you can just package your extension, put it in market, and sell it to other customers. You have certifications, partners program, less CSS preprocessor, built-in cron Java scheduler, theme architecture, job queue with RabbitMQ. Job queue, you guys know what is that for? Job queue is the way that different applications connect each other. So you can connect different. There is a job queue server, and then you can post messages on top of that, and other applications can get those messages, and they connect each other without the require of one of them is alive or not. Does that make sense? Full page cache engine. Magento 1, one of the bad sides or weakness was the performance, and they improved that in a way that, in a great way, they were able to separate what is being full cache done and what is related to a specific customer. So if you guys think an e-commerce place, the mini card that you guys have in the top right, that one cannot be cached, obviously, right? Because each customer is going to have a different cart situation, correct? So what they do is like there is one layer that renders the whole page where it's styled. The product, images, category, filters, everything. That's been cached, and they save the HTML, pure HTML. So when someone requires that a specific way, it just throws the HTML. So it's like that. And then they separate another layer, which is using the Ajax. So it's able to identify the session of the user and then retrieves whatever is in the card, whatever is in the login, so they can highlight who is logging the file. Okay? I was able to identify in this new version of Magento 12 design patterns: prototype, lazy loading, service locator, module, object pool, range state, and others. Magento 2 is PCI compliance. So if you wanna, you have to meet these requirements. So if you wanna store credit cards or you wanna handle sensible data for your customer, and they have third-party integrations with open authentication. So you can do the same as Facebook or Twitter. You guys can create a specific application, and then other people can start using your store. They create products, they log in as a customer, they can create a card, so you can easily create a different language and use a Magento as a slave. So, features. Let's take a look at what Magento 2 offers, and I'm going to show you guys the first thing. So, this is the new thing. These guys, this is it's a full responsive theme, and you guys probably identify different things in the store, right? Like this is the main category menu. You guys have the search. You guys have the mini card, right? And different products. When we call them a journey of purchase, is different sections on e-commerce place what allow you to do a purchase in the website, right? So one of the things is we have the homepage, right? Then we have the category listing page, which is this one, right? These are the products. These are different options that I can do with the products, like listing on in a different position. And each product, they contain different attributes, okay? And what is important, this concept here, is this one. This is called layer navigation, okay? Layer navigation is a dynamic attribute selector what Magento generates using the products that they are listed on that specific category. So I don't do anything. I just create some specific attributes, and then, for example, a style means that in this specific category and subcategories, there are 4, 12, 6. So they just cross all that data and generate this for us, okay? So check this out. Let's do this. Style. Let's open one of the products. Okay, and then what we have here is the product options, the add to cart. Then we have related products, and pretty much all of you guys recognize all of these elements, right, for an e-commerce page. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is check the cache. So what we're going to do is go to the terminal, because right now we have an executable file that we can just run, and we have several options that we can do. So we can do some backups, we can do some maintenance process if we want to take the shot offline, we want to install modules, check the queue of the messages, information, the indexer, internationalization, depth, cron, catalog. What I'm going to do is just remove the cache. So I'm going to make sure that I there we go. So I remove the cache for config files, layout, sorry. Good. Collections, reflection, database, entity attribute value, full page, config integration, target rule, translate, and config web service. So what we're going to do now is let's go to the homepage. Oh, and then let's open. Check. I prefer the developer tools from Chrome. So let's open this one. Okay, so let's go to this specific category. And let's go to network. So what it's doing right now, Magento, is doing all the queries it does in the database. It's taking all of the specific blocks, HTML, everything is connected, and they are creating all the catch for us. So you guys can see it's taking more than expected, but this is because it's catching all of the parts of the system of all of the files. So when it loads, let's check that out. There you go. 45? No, it's not. There we go. 45 seconds to load this page. Okay? Now let's do something specifically like it's trying to search by jacket. Okay? So right now what it's doing is making sure that this specific filter and this specific URL, all of these small parts are being touched. Like where this image exists, where attributes are related to this product, what kind of layer navigations we have here, and it does all of the connections that it requires to have all of this catch. Then all of this is being using Varnish Catch, which is an open source catch engine, and it does all the full catch. So this one was 26 seconds, and then you guys can see, let's try to get this yellow one here, and the blue one. Okay, and now let's do something. Let's now use the catch. So what I'm going to do is go to my Chrome. I'm going to remove all of the catch from the beginning of the time. Let's open a new incognito window. Okay, and let's try that. Okay, let's check how is the performance. So the log was, the log document was in less than 1 second, and then to load the page, which downloading the images and everything, was that time. So let's go to that specific category. You guys can see the performance. Like it's nothing related to the database. It's just throwing HTML to the client. And then let's check now what we done before, styles, and then click on jacket. There you go. Okay, so that's one of the big improvements regarding performance. And that was one of the big issues that we were having with Magento 1, because the huge of the database that the clients were using, that was causing us that kind of issues. Now let's go to the admin, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm not going to get into these details, but I'm going to show you some cool things that Magento has already. So we have orders, well, invoices, shipments, credit memos, returns, billing agreements, transactions. We have products, catalog, and categories. Let's go to the products, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you guys something interesting here, because so we go to product, edit this product, and then look, this product has a price of $34, right? But this model of Magento contains also something called advanced pricing. The advanced pricing is allowing me, so that one was 34, so I can play here with $30, and then I can define when it's going to be this special price. Also, on top of that, I can enter the cost, so it's going to help me for my reports. Check it out, what kind of reports I have in the store. And also, I have what is called tier price. This is really interesting part, because you can do sales, you can segment groups in a way. Like, for example, I can say for all my websites, for my retailer group of customers, I can have, if they purchase more than 5, I'm going to tell them that I'm giving them a special price of 29. That means that when a customer related to that specific group is connected to the store, is going to be able to see these specific options dynamically on the product view. And then what I can do is, like for regular customer, which means my general customers, I'm going to have from more than 10, I'm going to give the same price. Okay? Another interesting thing that we have with Magento2 are the segments. So you guys know that you have a bunch of customers in your shop, and then you just split them like, oh, this is my VIP customers, and these are my I don't know, regular customers. Those are being selected manually by you. You just select in the groups, and you organize your customer, right? But now we have something called customer segments, which is going to help me to dynamically, that's the most important part, dynamically create some rules. And if the customer meets those rules, then it's going to be part of that specific segment. So what I'm going to do is like, let's do this specific my loyalty for this website. Status active, safe and continue. I can say like this is applying to visitors, which people are not registered, or only registered users or gets users. Save and continue, and then we have now conditions. So let's start creating some conditions. The first one I'm going to create is if they are subscribed to my newsletter. So I'm going to say this customer is subscribed to my newsletter. And also another option is going to be like, I'm going to say like the product, I'm going to say the product history. If a product was viewed, and then I'm going to select a specific product, like climate. Okay, and contains, let's say, spring. Okay, and also I'm going to say that, no, I think that's it. So what I'm doing here is, if the customer is subscribed, but also it was viewing the climate attribute of spring, and also I'm going to create something additional. I'm going to say that the store credit of the user, because we have some store credit, is greater than, say, it's like $50. This is going to match my customers. And the interesting part of this is that I can play around with the logic operators. So I can say this can be any of them or all of them. So I can say this has to be matched this one, and this one. And also I can get deep as much as I want. So I can create what is called conditions combination. So I can create a condition combination here, and also I can create another condition combination here. So I can get as much as I need right here. When we save this, then dynamically my store is going to keep updating my segments. And what is the segment good for? So my segment is going to help me to identify the country. So I can say my VIP customers are going to be able to see the homepage in a completely different way. Or they are going to see banners on different pages. Or they are going to have some specific content specifically for that dynamic segments. Okay? And let's see what else I have to you guys. Then we have all of the marketing that we were talking here, which is catalog price rules. We have related product rules and cart price rules. Catalog price rules is when you do like any store in the market, you say like, okay, 20% of all my jeans. Okay, so then you select in the catalog is you making the same kind of conditions that we were looking for customers. You can do that with products. So you are saying like all of my products in this category, and the price is bigger than 50%. $50, I'm going to do a 20% discount. And then you're going to see when it's listing the prices, you're going to see that they are like on the strike, and below is the final price that you can get. That's one thing, but also you have cart price rules. So which means it's the regular coupon that we know. That's just you create a specific cart price, and then when you use that coupon, it goes to the checkout, and then you can apply that, and it reduces the subtotals that you have. Okay? All of these combined with multi-stores, so you can have different domains, and all of them can be managed from one single admin. You can have taxes for all the countries in the world. You can create all of the rules that you require, all of the currencies supported in the world, and each website you can sell. I can have with the same Magento administrator. I can have people selling in USA and people selling in British pounds in London. And then you can have euros in Spain, right? So what I want to get with this is that you cannot do this just using functions and classes. I mean, you cannot do this using just object-oriented programming. You need some good architecture. And that's what I want to give you guys an idea of how these guys put the science of this and think about how we can create something that is stable. And remember, that this is not blocked by users. This source code is going to the public. So public is going to start requiring some features that they didn't think about. How you can create that kind of things in the way that they are going to be able to reuse your core engine, but adding features on the top without affecting the way that Magento works. Okay? So let's do that. So let's take a look to the file system. I think this is the best way to start. So how Magento works? What we have right here is the app. All of below that folder is related to your specific store. Okay? That's how it works. You have the design, you have your config files and everything. And then we have vendor, which is where you download. So Composer is for PHP, like Maven is for Java. So you download all the dependencies without dependency manager, and they live under this folder, right? So as you guys can see, they have Doctrine, which is the ORM framework. You have same framework. You have part of Symfony. So they were getting the best pieces of all different frameworks and put it together as a base of Magento. And on top of that, we have Magento. Magento folder is the one which contains this specific, all of the features that we were looking right now. All of the catalog, rights rule, tags, checkout, everything is down there, right? And each one is an independent module that you can use. I think you can go over. These guys are going to die here. So, module catalog is that big one. That one contains the attributes of the products, the categories, the layer navigation engine, everything is down there. The checkout, the contact. So let's take a look to the simplest one, the contact one. So we're going to see later how the module is being structured, but I'll give you guys an intro here. So we have blocks, which are the logic of the views. We have obviously controllers. We have the config files, helpers, internationalization, model, and test, and the views. The great thing of having here the views is that this module is completely independent. So I can just pass it to another store, and they just put it here in my paper. And it works. Obviously, if I want to change the views, I don't change these specific files. What I do is just copy them across to my specific app folders, and Magento is going to realize that you are replacing those specific files, and it's going to render the others that you have. But the great of that is that it's really easy to plug and play a specific extension. You just put it there, Magento sees that, and it starts working on that one. So, you guys are going to ask, like, if I put some specific folder here, but I want to modify the way that Magento behaves, that's what we are going to look at that. And that's what we do with dependency injection in Magento. Okay? So, dependency injection is good for reusable code. Even if we think it's an industry myth that we are not going to be able to reuse code never, well, that's kind of true. We know that we create code all the time, and then we're trying to create a new project, and we are like, oh, you know what? I know we were spending 1 year doing that project, but we cannot reuse anything of that project. And most of the cases are happening that is because we are having a bad design of our classes. So that bad design comes when we initiate classes and stuff inside of the class, and we don't use that in the constructor, which is creating a black box code that we're not going to be able to modify, and it behaves as it behaves, right? So using dependency injection is going to help us for definitely testing. If we pass all of the classes that we need to run this specific logic in the constructor, okay? Then when we initiate this, it's being done by our object manager. So we define this specific class, we define what we are using in the constructor, and then right here, we just define the way that that specific class is being initiated, right? So as you guys can see, we are passing the arguments, and the argument that we are saying is address config, and we are telling this specific class is being initiated with this specific constructor parameter. Okay? Now you guys probably are asking that this one has more other params, and it's because the other params are being used as a preference. We're going to see that later, how that works. So this is helping me that if a module is trying to declare this class is working in this way, but if my module wants to initiate that specific class or that specific functionality in a different way, the only thing that I have to do is on my configuration of my extension, override what are the classes that I inject into that class. Make sense? The object manager is the one is helping us to do this. So it's definitely helping us to do that specific dependency injection, but also is helping us for doing the object proxy of our classes in Magento. So we have two basic methods. The one is to get singletons, so I can do the get and the specific class, and then I retrieve whatever is initiated already, and if not initiated. And then we can do the create, which the create is just the regular prototype. Okay? And we have some, it's many params. I just scratching the surface of Magento2. So this is pretty much what I think is the base, but still learning about many other XML actions that I can do here. So the one is the most popular one is the preference. So remember that we were having before the types. So now we have the preference. So the preference is telling, like, when you are going to use this specific class, which is the for, then please use this specific type. So you do not have to define of every class all of the constructor params. So you leave some of us default. And then we have also virtual types, which virtual types is if I wanted to modify one specific class, then I can create a virtual type, which I don't have to create code and I create a specific class. What I do is virtually I create an object in the way that I want. And that specific object is being then used as a constructor for a different object. Make sense? So I think that's good introduction to dependency injection. Let's talk about database entity attribute value. Well, so as you guys know is, you guys know pretty good relational database, right? All of you guys, MySQL, Postgres. So you guys know how time consuming and performant is to an alter table. So you can insert and delete rows easily, but when you're trying to do an alter table, that's what most cost is on the performance. Now, when you guys are trying to do that locally, that's fine. You guys are running like, I don't know, 1,000 rows, something like that. But once I faced a store in Mexico, it was 1 million customers, and I have to import them. Only the 1 million customers was 8 gigabytes of data. That 8 gigabytes of data, they were also with products, categories, orders, and everything. So in that case, if you're trying to do an alter table because now the customer has the brilliant idea to remove the date of birth because they don't really need that, or they want to add a new one, which is I wanna have a new ID for whatever life miles or whatever they wanna have. So that specific alter table, that's gonna be a pain. You're gonna have to take the store offline and then run that and then put it online again. If not, you're not gonna be able to synchronize the 1 million rows and then add all of them in the new column. So to avoid that kind of situations, because Magento is like, well, it's in the real market. It's all the websites using this every day and selling products. So they designed the database in an entity attribute value model. And how it works? Like that. No, I'm just kidding. So this is only for catalog part. So this is the tables that you're using for managing the catalog. Okay, so it's pretty simple. So what they do is like, obviously doing alter tables is time consuming. And the clients keep changing attributes all the time. I'm gonna add a new attribute, I'm gonna remove this one, I don't like it, I think mistake the name of the attribute and stuff like that. So for doing that, it's definitely less time performance consuming of the machine doing inserting rows and deleting rows on specific tables, right? So what you do is having one specific table, which is called the entity type. Can you guys see that? So the entity type, what contains is the different entities that you're storing in your database using this model. Magento has some specific entities following this model, but also has the regular way of relation mapping, right? The relation which is you have to do alter tables, but you decide when you can use this model or the other one. But this one is being designed for customers, catalog, products, order, invoice. Okay? So let's take a look to this one. So we have catalog product. We say to the system that there is an entity type, and that's the number ID number 4. Then we create attributes. Instead of being part of columns, they are rows in a specific table. So we say these are all the attributes related to my entity ID. So we have one table with 300, 400 attributes, and they are like, this is all for catalog, this is all for customer, this is all for address. Okay? So now, what we have is something like this. Catalog product entity is the master table of your catalog products, which contains all of your products. And then also, each specific type of value that you want to store is being in different tables. So you have one for datetime, one for decimals, gallery, int. And as you guys can deduce from that, is that obviously all of the attributes that they are following that specific value are inside of those tables. Okay? So those specific tables are having something like this. This is the master table. So I have the product ID. This is 24NB01. This is my product ID in my store. But the entity ID of my product is the number 1. So what I do is to have in catalog product entity text, these are the descriptions. So as you guys can see, I have the regular incremental ID, the attribute ID, which is 72 belongs to the master table of attributes, which is description, right? And then we have the store ID. So I can have in the same table, I can have description for my different stores. One in Spanish, in English, Japanese, whatever I want. And these one are going to be living in the same table. And also I have the entity ID, which remember, the entity ID is write the product. So I say for this product, I have all of these values, so I can filter all that information there. So all my text type values are going to live in this specific table. Okay? I don't want to have description anymore. Is a delete on the attribute, a delete here, and a delete here. Done. The attribute disappears, the values disappears, nothing else. No alter tables, no change of the schemas, nothing. Okay? So that's why allows completely flexibility to our customers that they keep asking for different ways to manage data. And it's going to be much better way to get the performance of our database. All of this is great. And the way that it works is using this specific, for example, for products, we can manage the attribute manager right from the database. So I guess the first brainstorming when they were designing Magento is like, oh, let's allow the customer to create different attributes. And it's like, that's a great idea. Let's create a table with different columns. And then when the customer comes here and he creates a new attribute for the products, let's do an alter table. Let's add a new column, and then remove the column, and then we start having issues with foreign keys, with thousands of products that are in the store, so they're going to have to remove all of those values. So right now, the attribute manager, it works in the way that when you create this, it's just adding a new row to that specific table of the attribute master table, right? And then what I do is like we have something called attribute set. So I have sets of attributes that I assign to my products. So obviously an iPhone is nothing compared for a gene, right? So genes have a specific attribute sets, and an iPhone has a different one. So you guys can see we have climate, activity, gender, and all of them can be organized on this specific attribute set, and you assign that to the product. What is the great thing about this? That is one single API for this. So you manage your products independently if it's using the entity attribute value model or the regular relational mapping. The object relational mapping allows you to manage this completely transparent for you. You don't know if it goes to different tables or if it goes to one single table. Okay? how it works, obviously we just use the object manager, as you guys can see there. We request a specific entity model, we load it, we change it, we save it. Done. Now, one weakness of the entity attribute value is what? Joins. So the only weakness of this is that you're going to have to deal with many joins of many different tables. And then when you are doing master tables, that's fine. But when you are having thousands of attributes, there's going to be performance issues. So what they do is that you can define, whenever you want, you can swap your entity attribute value to a regular flat table. The flat table works perfectly, but not when you have 56,000 products that we have with one of our customers. 56,000 products is something that you cannot manage right here if they're going to change the attributes. However, shops, as you guys know, are being defining attributes during the first year. After that, it's like just keep running the commerce. So you can use the entity attribute value for a while, but if you want to get a great performance, you can just swap like this. And again, it's completely transparent for you. You can keep programming, and then Magento is going to realize that you selected that you want to use flat tables, so it's going to store things here. And then when you are rendering the tables, rendering the store for your public, it's just getting the data right from there with the full index process and everything. So no joins and nothing. Okay? So that's, oh, no, I forgot. So obviously we have many extensions coming from people at the marketplace. The tricky part to manage this is to have the schemas changes that you have to do on the database, right? So your extension can require some tables. And for doing that, obviously you cannot tell the customer to run some queries. So that's why we have some specific scripts on the models. So if I take a look to one of them, let's go to Magento, preview, okay, and we go to setup. We have 2 of 4 that I want to talk to you guys. So the first one is the schema, and if you guys read code, I think it's gonna be easier for you guys identify what install a schema script does. So as you guys can see here, is initializing the installation way. So this in the way is like holding the database to apply some changes. And then what you do is just getting the connection, create a new table, which is review entity, add a column, add a column. So that's completely abstract on whatever engine of relational mapping database you're using. And then you just create the table here, right? So you do that for the different tables. And then if you require some specific data, this is being managed with this script. So what it does is the same. You just get the installer, get the connection, and insert on specific tables some values. Okay? All of this, when you install the module, is being run by Magento. And what Magento does is keeping the ID of your specific product. Sorry, your specific extension. With that extension, so this one is 2.00, which means the next time that specific file increase version, Magento is going to take a look at what additional files are here for the schema changes, and it's going to run them, and it's going to save in the database what is the situation of that extension. Okay. And plugins. So the easiest way to change behavior in Magento is using plugins. So for create a plugin, I just created one for you guys. We are using the interceptor pattern, which in that way we do not have to, it's the way that allows us to change the way it works or add some additional logic to the specific functions or methods, right? So I created one, which is called product plugin. I'm going to show you guys. It's pretty simple. So what we do right here is, as you guys can see, I'm moving from vendor folder, I'm moving to the app folder, because the app folder is the local one that I created for this specific store. Okay? And then we go to etc. and dependency injection. So this specific file, dependency injection, I'm saying that this class that we have in Magento, I'm going to have a plugin for that class, which is called Behipo plugin block product plugin. Okay? Then when I do that, it's going to take a Magento to any method that I'm using here. Sorry. It's gonna try to find that specific method, and then it's gonna add the logic. So let's open that one, which is, we say abstract product. Yeah. So let's go to catalog, block, product, abstract product. So this one contains what we call get reviews summary HTML. So if that's specifically the one that we are using. As you guys can see, that specific method on that class contains the product, the template, and display no reviews. So that one is exactly what I have right here. So I can do the three behaviors that I can do. I can do the before, the after, and the around. Okay. The only difference that I have to do with the around is I have to return the closure. So in that way, that can be returning all of the specific logic that I want. Okay? So that's the plugin, which is something new in Magento 2, and then we have the cron job system. You guys know Unix, they have a cron job system, but Magento has its own engine inside. So this is because, remember, we are having thousands of stores, and then you create a specific extension. You are going to reduce the barrier of installing that extension on your marketplace because you configure the cron job that you require inside of your extension. So you don't have to tell the client, go to your cron system and apply cron tab and change whatever command you want to do. And how that works. So what we have on our extension is something called, let's go to Magento. Sales, and go to etc. And then we have the contract here. So this one has, as you guys can see, this is the regular Unix cron tab expression right here. And then the only thing that you do is specify the class that you want to use and the method that you want to execute. Right? So then if we come here and then we look for this specific, which is this one, right? Module sales from, yep. So this one has the execute. That's pretty much what it does. So when it runs this one, you can parameterize values on the config that you do from right here, which is, let me see if I go to the right place, admin stores, configurations, sales, order concerns. Stores, configurations. Sales. Order concerns. So those specific values that you create here, they are being consumed right here. So that's the way that you can parameterize whatever cron job you have in the background. How that works? It's pretty simple. What it does is having an internal engine with a queue, and it's just using the Unix cron job expression, and then it's synchronizing that in your store. So you can do things like, this one is like delete quote after. So that kind of a specific logic you do here, and then you just do whatever operation you want to do. What is gonna tell you guys about this cool thing? Oh, how you parameterize those specific values? This one is you can do that right here from the config. Oh, let's see that on the next section. I'm gonna explain one more in detail. Job, and then module structure. So remember, so we have independent modules that we just put in our platform and they run it by themselves. And sometimes you can create dependency between modules. So you can say my module always require Magento catalog because my module is something logic specifically for the module. And then you can just create whatever hierarchy that you require for your models. But let's take a look what a model contains itself. So let's go to the simplest one, which is going to be the much easier to understand. So let's go to model contact, right? And it's this one right here. Let me see how can I open this. Like that. Can you guys see it? Cool. So model contact. Oh, before getting that, let's gonna show you guys the functionality. This one. My name. Phone number. Done. So what we have here, right? We have one specific controller who has one index view, right? Which is loads the form. Then we have another another controller or another action which receives the post, and then we have the regular Flash messenger where we can post the messages, and then it redirects back to the same form, right? Very simple, right? How that works? Works like this. So what we have here is the block. The block, I want to talk to you guys in a different channel, is about the theme architecture, how it's been designed, but the block itself, which is the block, what it does is supporting logic to the HTML files. So HTML files are only using this. HTML code, right? No logic lives here. But then you need to do some specific logic, and then that's why you are having some blocks. So when this specific template renders, you can start using what is called block, or this, which is itself, this template contains the logic of that specific block. So then, for example, in this case, I'm using this get from action, and this one is being generated by this form. Okay? So avoid, when you are doing more than one line of code, avoid that and put it in a block, which is going to help you to support. And that specific block is being tested by this test. This. So this is the way that we are testing the block. So we are just getting some mock builders, and we are just making sure that that getURL method is being called. And that's the way you're testing the blocks. And we also have in the models, we have the controllers, as you guys will know. What are the controllers? This is the index, which is just rendering the form, and this one is the post. So the post is just receiving all of the data, sending those by email, adding one Flash messenger, which is thanks, and then redirecting back to the other page. Simple, right? Okay, so that specific controller is as well being tested by the post test, which is this one. Okay? And then we have etc. folder. Remember, the etc. folder is when everything is being configured. So you have controllers, you have helpers, you have models, you have blocks. All of that information is being defined here. So we have this one is the access control list. So if you have some kind of configurations, you can define who is going to be able to use it or not in your admin portal. Then you have the config. You can define email templates, which are being used by specific files. So this is the email template that we are going to use on this extension. And then you have the model itself, which is what is being defined the model. Okay? We have the helpers. The helpers are being used wherever you want. You can use it in controllers. You can use it on views or even in blocks. Okay? Usually helpers are a good support for things that I've been using in more than one view. In that case, having the template part of the block is not going to be possible. So you have helpers that you can use across different views, right? we have the internationalization, which in this way I can say that the same specific word that I have right here, it can be said differently in a different language. So with your extension, you also are providing all the translations for the market. Okay? Then we have the model, that's pretty much it, and the views. So we have views for the front end, which defines the layout, and the admins. Okay? And I think that's a good overview of what we have with Magento2. We have more things like notification messages, session and cookies, login. Login is great. The login is the way that you can define where all of your all of the things are happening, and then you can just there is a logger built into Magento. That's something that I use in many projects that we are doing to have a proper logging system. We have the profiler. That's a great model that they have. The profiler is helping you to identify how long does run something and how much memory is consuming. So you can identify like this page, how long does it take to render, this specific block, this specific controller. So all of the components that we were looking at that, you can just add a profiler, and Seamless for you is going to give you a whole statistics of how long does it take to run, so you can identify these kind of issues on performance. REST and SOAP web services built in, internationalizations. We have widgets, we have catch, events and observers. The Magento Enterprise Cloud Edition is based on Amazon Web Services. They have a great stack of services to have the best deployment of the product online. Then we have an additional software which is the commerce order management, so you can just separate, like Hybrid, you can separate all of that, and then you can manage all of the inventory, orders, and everything. We have obviously testing, unit testing, static dynamic integration, integrity testing, and legacy testing. Marketplace. So because many shops around there is a good opportunity to do some money, and then something that is working for the clients, you can just build that one package and start selling completely separate to the market. Okay.
That must you put there must be open source.
No, no, it doesn't. No, you can have a copyright for that one. It doesn't have to. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions? One? No? So many of you guys are probably not interested in this vertical of the company of Magento, but you guys in the project, we need to make sure that we take into account the good architecture. And then when we decide something, it's just we need to define that from the beginning, because probably it's too late. If you guys are deciding a wrong approach for the database, then you're going to have a big issue later. So think about these guys, the only thing that they did is reusing what community knows and what is the development industry aware of that. So it's just make sure that you use the right tool and the right approach. So don't feel that you guys are wasting time when you are using different components and put it in the right place. Yeah.
Is Magento based on any PHP framework?
Yes, it's based on Zen framework.
But right now, Magento looks like a Spring.
Again, the idea is that's why this is a confusion, because many PHP developers are coming with a front-end background, and they have no idea. They pretty much know object-oriented programming. But to do a beast like this and having a lot of the marketplaces out there with thousands and thousands of sales every day, I'm afraid that you cannot just create something like that just using classes and methods and stuff like that, right? So in a way, there is no going to Java. It's just they are using the right designs. That's what they are doing. And we can do the same with Node.js, we can do the same with Ruby, we can do the same with any language. It's just a matter of you guys do the right design, and when you, obviously, frameworks are usually, when they provide a framework, they're trying to make it the simplest ever. So they just give you 2 lines, and it's like, oh, that's a controller, and that's what it does. And that's actually a mistake, because developers start using that in that way, and they create huge controllers without testing, and it's like, yeah, because it's easy, it's just you that save, and it saves your entity, and we say, oh, yeah, it does what it does, but now you are losing control. You know how many places you are saving that entity, so you don't have a service pattern, or that kind of things is, that's my point. That we need to make sure that we use the right architecture always. It doesn't matter the language.
And what about backward compatibility with, I don't know, like clients that already have like their
Magento2? Yeah, I'm afraid that they have a bunch of scripts, and it's a pretty cool way that you can map in the attributes, and you say, oh, this is a customer attribute, that. And then you can import orders, customers, products, everything. That's fine. The template, because the architecture changed, the template is the only thing that you cannot reuse. You can obviously grab things and put it there, but the way that it's designed now, you are not going to just copy the files across and it's going to work. I'm afraid that you have to invest the time and the money again to do the thing. And it's a good thing, because the way that it's being designed, the theme architecture, it's much better. So in a way, it's a good problem to have. I do not recommend do that with clients that they recently invested the money on having 1.9 Magento. Just wait at least a year, and then you go. But if you have like 1.8, 1.7, or something like that, better you start thinking of migrating to. So you're gonna do the investment anyway, and don't do it in the 1 point, right?
Is eBay using Magento2 production right now?
Say that again.
Is eBay?
eBay, no, but eBay is just getting this specific
model.
No, eBay just buying this company just because they have the control of the reverse action marketplace, right? And also they have control of the private sales that they are doing in the market. But they are not using this sort of on their model.
Magento is under a stable release, or just?
It is unstable right now. It's 2.0.4. That's the one I was showing you guys. And yeah, it is finally, it is the stable release that they have. What was it, 2.0?
Any important company using that?
No, as far as I know. Hopefully my clients at some point. But no, I know. It's big company using that. 29.8 of the market is big. I mean, there's a big market. When we think about, sometimes we're talking about Hybris and Magento, I'm looking at those like Hybris is an Apple. You pay a lot of money, then you have an Apple, and it works. And then you have Photoshop, you have Illustrator, and everything works fine. However, Magento is a Linux. So it works, it's great, good architecture, and it runs. But when you're going to do Adobe Photoshop on top of Linux, doesn't work. But the market is there, so you have a great amount of Magento sales, private sales, and then you have a small of hybrid sales, right? So it's about quantity, right? So there is a market there for Magento stores. Obviously, this is for medium and small and medium companies. Hybrid is for large companies, right? Sure. Like that. Thank you, guys.
Ignacio, no te pregunté por qué me